Multiplying and dividing fractions, made easy. Example number 1. We have 2 over 3 times 1 over 3. Step 1, let's look at the first fraction here. We want to see if we can simplify. So if we're looking at the 2 and the 3, there are no factors between them, therefore we cannot simplify that. Now we look at the second fraction, the 1 over 3. Looking at that, there are no factors between 1 and 3 either, therefore we cannot simplify that. And now what we want to check is the diagonals. We look at these numbers here. 2 and the 3, there are no factors, so we cannot simplify that. And then we look at the other diagonal over here, 1 and 3. There are no factors between that as well. Therefore, we know that our problem is fully simplified. Now, all we have to do is multiply. And when we multiply the numerators by each other and the denominators by each other. So, in doing this, we get 2 times 1, which is 2, over 3 times 3, which is 9. And that is going to be our final answer. Example number 2, we have 3 over 4 times 8 over 9. So, step 1, we want to check if we can simplify. I'm looking at the first fraction here. 3 and 4 do not have any common factors, so we cannot simplify that one. Now, let's look at our second fraction, 8 over 9. 8 and 9 do not share any common factors, therefore we cannot simplify that. And now we look at our diagonals. So, I'm looking at the 3 and the 9 first. The 3 and the 9, they do share a factor, and that factor is 3. So, if I were to take out a 3 from the 3, I would have 1 remaining. And if I were to take out 3 from the 9, I would have 3 remaining. So, that diagonal has been simplified. Now, let's look at this diagonal here. So, we have a 4 and an 8. The greatest factor between those is a 4. 4 can go into 4 one time, and 4 can go into 8 2 times. So now we have our new fractions here. So it's 1 times 1 times 2 over 3. Our problem has been simplified, so all we have to do now is multiply the numerators by each other and the denominators by each other. When we do that, we'll get 2 over 3. And that is going to be our final answer. Example number 3. We're given 1 and 3/5 times 2 and 1/4. So first thing we want to do, we're given mixed numbers, so we want to write those as improper fractions. And the way we do that is by taking our whole number and multiplying it by the denominator, which in this case is 5, and then you add it to the numerator. So what we'll have is 5 times 1 plus 3. And that will give us 8 over 5. And that's going to be multiplied by, and we do the same thing on the other side. You take the whole number, multiply it by the denominator, and then you add it to the numerator. So, on that side, what we have is 2 times 4 plus 1, which is going to give us 9. And we keep the same denominator. So, now we have 8 over 5 times 9 over 4. So, let's look at our diagonals here. And we see that we cannot simplify that. There's no factor between those. So, let's look at our second diagonals, the 8 and the 4. So, we know that they share a factor, which is 4. So, what we're going to do is factor out a 4 from both of those. So, if I factor out a 4 from 4, I'll have 1. And if I factor out 4 from 8, I will have 2. So, what we have now is 2 over 5 times 9 over 1. So what we do from here, since it's simplified, is we will multiply the numerators by each other and the denominators by each other. And what we get is 18 over 5. And now what we can do is write this as a mixed number. So we know that 5 can go to 18 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15, so that means that there's 3 left over, which means you put that over the denominator. 3 3/5 is going to be our final answer. Example number 4, we have 2/3 divided by 1/6. Now, the only difference between multiplying fractions and dividing fractions is just the first step, which is all we do is we take our first fraction, write it down, and then we convert it to a multiplication by switching these numbers around or flipping it over. So this will become 2/3 times 6 over 1. And then from here, we continue as we have before. So we try to simplify. We look at the first diagonal, the 2 and the 1, and we can't simplify anything there. So we look at the second one, and we see that 3 can be factored out of 3 and 6, as shown. And now all we do is multiply. So we'll have 2 over 1 times 2 over 1, and that is going to give us 4. And that will be our final answer.